me lower this though. I don't think that made a difference. Is it cat? Oh, there it is. Whatever. Figure it out later. Oh, yay! Good morning. Uh-oh. Great. Can you hear? Can you hear?
Alright, well, don't let me in.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I understand, and I knew you were recording it, so just because you got to do those hours.
Yeah, my bad. But you missed a good morning.
I'm sure I did.
But we're jumping in, so. Okay, so the mother's gaze. Now, we're all women, minus one. Whether if you're a mother, or you're going to be a mother, or you want to be a mother, or you're a double mother, or stepmom, this is not to, trigger or traumatize or guilt or shame or anything. As I said earlier, you just need to be good enough. Okay. So the mother's gaze. This is really all about the formation of the true self versus the false self. So the mother's gaze is the first form of a human's boundary of an emerging self. So I'm going to pause for a moment. The child is in the womb. Okay? One atom, one symbiote, they are one. Okay? At some point, mother gives birth and boop, to the bosom. Can be a little dramatic, but to the bosom. The baby has no idea it's a baby, right? The baby still thinks they are part of mommy. Okay? It's not until the baby has any beginnings that there is any separateness until mommy frustrates him or her. Okay, and that can be as basic, primal that Melanie Klein calls it the good breast and the bad breast. That the mommy, basically the child gets frustrated. Like why am I getting frustrated? How can I be frustrated with myself? So there's the kind of the beginnings of some sort of idea that they are not mommy. You following me so far? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. And so this idea of the mother's gaze to the child is the first form of a human's boundary of separateness of a self. That makes sense so far? Okay.
Did you say it again? Separate?
Separateness. So both the true self and the false self that we just talked about depend on the gaze of others. So if we're not seen, we don't exist. Think about that for a second. If we're not seen, you guys ever heard that, if a tree falls down
doesn't make a noise.
Doesn't make a noise. What do you guys think?
If nobody's there to hear it.
If nobody's there to hear it. Thank you. If nobody's there to hear it. What do you guys think? Do you hear a noise? Do you hear a noise? The tree fall down? What is it? Falls down and no one hears it. So it's rhetorical. But if we're not seen, we don't exist. And if we think about neglect, they've done studies where, like, if you're in a room and people are amongst you and they're talking and chit-chatting and you're like, hey, and they don't, the others don't pay attention or acknowledge you, that person, they've done studies, that person begins to doubt that they even exist. Talk about a mind fuck. Like, you know, there's people there and you're like, hello, and they I mean, the studies like that, they're instructed not to see you or talk to you or whatever, but then the experience of that person not getting acknowledged, not getting seen, getting neglected, getting ignored, they begin to doubt that am I not here? So both the true self and the false self is dependent on others. And that's why, you know, we all hear we're social creatures, we're social beings, we need connection, we need intimacy, we need to be seen, we need to be heard. That's where all this is. So that we know we exist. The false self relies on adulation. It's like adoring almost. And attention known as narcissistic supply. Without that constant flow of an adulating gaze, the narcissist crumbles, resulting in dysfunctional, destructive, self-defeating, or self-trashing. Really, when you treat yourself like trash, self-trashing behaviors, and psychological defense mechanisms and severe cognitive distortions. That is a lot, but that is what happens when there is the narcissist is not seen, is not getting that supply, is not getting that attention, is not getting that gaze. And obviously the narcissist wants like dynamite supply. They're gonna want the dynamite supply, not a little, you know, what was the word, like chips. They want a big fat steak. They want a big fat 8-course meal. They don't want something that they're always gonna go to the dynamite supply.
Question on that. Now, do they require authentic attention or just like?
Good question. Very, very good question.
Will they pick up that it's this is
nope,
fake?
Nope, they're junkies.
They just want the attention.
Good or bad.
Good or bad. Okay.
They're junkies. They're supply junkies. Obviously, you want a bigger, more potent hit. But they will take anything. They will take any type of supply. So yeah, even bad attention, you know, what they say, bad publicity is still good publicity, or whatever that saying is.
That was going to be my next question. Does it matter who it's coming from? It's just...
No. Again, I mean, if you gave a choice, whether it's like shitty supply or supreme supply, well, I was going to say they'll take the supreme supply, but actually they'll take both. They'll find a way to get both.
As long as it's not poking at the
ego. Yeah. I was going to say they're going to take the more no, but they will take both. They'll find a way to get all of the supply. Okay. Similarly and equally, The true self needs a loving gaze to sustain itself. Another person's love serves two purposes. One, it confirms the existence of the true self as a lovable object. Remember we're talking about the internalized bad object? That the abused child doesn't feel that they are worthy of love, so they internalize that they are a bad thing. They are a bad thing. The true self needs that same thing. They still need the internalization, right? But of a lovable object, that they are good. That they are inherently a lovable, good object worthy of self-love. Or worthy of love. Thus lays the groundwork for the necessary and sufficient conditions for self-love. So if I'm getting my mother's gaze and knowing that it's a loving gaze, I'm going to internalize that, oh my goodness, I must be lovable. I must be worthy. I must be good. I must be good enough to receive love. And then there lies in, like I said, the groundwork, the studs, that, oh, I can love myself. I'm lovable.
When you mean gaze, mean attention?
Gaze, attention, sure, but I'm talking about even just
An
Intimacy.
actual gaze.
the actual gaze.
Okay.
It is attention, right? That's
But
attention.
actual
But
gaze.
I'm talking about the actual gaze.
Intentional.
Like looking at, think of, when I pick up Phoebe. Oh my God, you're so cute. You're so cute. I love you. I love you. I love you. Oh my God, I love you. Where's my
Oh, she's asleep right here.
I know.
She's on I know.
But think of for those that are mothers, when they're baby, oh my God, I love you so much. And I'm sorry, babies are not cute. Infants are not, newborns are, they got cone heads, they're all scrunchy, and they shit, and they're ugh. But to the mother, oh my, Simba, yeah, exactly. To the mother, to their child, you are perfection. And it should be like that. It should be like that. You're beautiful. You're a beautiful human being of a gift, a fucking miracle. You just, a person birthed another person. That's crazy if you really think about it. If you really think about it, it's fucking wild. So
a gaze is that powerful?
yes, it is. And so when we will get there to narcissistic abuse. There's a concept called dual mothership, and and you will let's do this again.
That makes me think about when people get triggered just by looks. Like how, why looking at me sideways? Do I owe you money? Like that kind of, like it could be a stranger that's having a bad day and you just have to, in their line of vision, but it's triggering for a lot of people and it starts things,
That's more on that end, but when you talk about narcissistic abuse in the very, very beginning, that love bombing, that honeymoon, it's that gaze is potent. It's a maternal gaze is the most powerful, potent drug on the planet. The maternal gaze, love, yeah. There's a documentary. I don't know what the name of it is. I saw it many years ago. It's about true story, obviously, about a woman who was creating a movement on the female orgasm. You guys heard of this? So she, and I might be kind of butchering all the details of it, but
It says a movie. Sorry.
No, it's a documentary. It's a docuseries.
Netflix.
About a woman. I think she started in San Francisco. I think, and her whole thing was about kind of self-love and women's self-love and body self-love, but through orgasms. And so there's this big old teaching about it, and it was really put on stage and exposed. But as time progressed, there was more men joining in on this movement, and then more women, which created, again, a different dynamic, because then they were kind of using these women as objects it just got really dark and nasty in the end. But anyways, the point I'm bringing up in this with this documentary is that they interviewed all of the people in this, I don't know, cult, perhaps movement cult, that one of the men that they interviewed, who was a big believer, big follower, is that there was a moment he had described where the leader of this, the person that started this, was holding this grown man like a baby. And he said he felt so, I don't know, warm and just, like almost like he was describing like a womb, like a maternal, and the way he was describing it, but while he was saying it was like, yeah, kind of like my mom, and it kind of freaked him out. But the point being is that type of mother's gaze, maternal love, maternal attention, it is, I don't know, people regress.
I'm thinking about someone we both know, and I don't know them well at all. I saw them once, and they peed on the stairs. That, okay,
yes.
But that
yes.
question, I didn't know any. I didn't have this in me.
Yeah. Well.
And I was like, a soft container. That's what we're supposed to provide for our clients. And now just applying this to that, I remember during the session, him saying, we were taking drugs, and he was like, don't write that down. And I was like, no, I didn't. I actually wrote down that you were grieving. Right? Like, I told him, because you got real, like,
yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm not, because he saw me writing, and his baby died, and we went into all that, right? And he was the victim in all of it. And by the end, he told me he was going to be a youth mentor. He's checking out a charity. And I was like, wait, what? You just told me you were using last week. Okay, all right. We're going to get there, I think. Did you want to get there, right? But I was like, all right. So by the end, right, that's the first time I'd ever sat down with him ever. And then he comes out, and I had been very like, thank you, good to be with you, and like, and he came out, and you guys talked about his schedule, and he got, he got defensive, and I just see that shift between, like, I was like, oh,
and I'm like,
yeah, and
you can't be coming on your not.
Are you adulting?
Yeah, are you adulting?
And
yeah.
And it feels
are you
like
adulting?
that, what we said, that the tearing the...
Yeah, the injury.
Yes,
the injury. Well, same thing with the other one. We talked about with, he's like, are you coming in to scold me? Are you coming to scold me?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm not coming to scold. Like, I'm not. But there's tons of this stuff that happens like that, unconsciously. Yeah. I'm not your mommy, first of all. And no, I'm not scolding you. I'm worried about you. Okay, yeah.
What's adulting?
Adulting is just a verb to be an adult.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Paying bills, having responsibilities, accountability.
Sorry, I was just thinking,
No.
I was trying to be a mother's gaze. I didn't know I was. I was just trying to be a therapist. Like, I was trying, and then he stepped out of that into...
Yeah.
you gonna do the schedule or not?
And then he
He did, yeah.
Will that help, like, when you guys are performing therapy and using kind of like a mother's gaze? Will that kind of like open up for the client to...
Yes and no. The problem is the mother's gaze for this narcissist was either non-existent or abusive. So it's going to trigger.
Oh, you can get like attached or something like
That's, we'll get to that too about stalkers, but
that.
oh yeah, that's stalkers, yeah.
So like my deep dive, right, is
Please,
obviously,
yeah.
like, complex adoptions and
Mhm.
stuff like that. And so, have you ever read like Primal Moon?
No, but I've heard of it.
Yeah. So, basically, what it states is many adopted kids who have been adopted young or removed from biological parents. I mean, they don't get this piece.
I know.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They miss this piece. So then, these personality types, these kind of the glitch in the matrix. Right?
Yep.
And so, just seeing this was a reminder of going, yeah.
Yeah, someone who's adopted, right? We were talking about pregnancy, the trauma, all that stuff, into a more than good enough mother, good enough family. If that gaze is not, that self is not there.
Never
never existed.
until
Wow.
Later on.
Yeah.
And so there's
Yep.
they miss that developmental
Yep.
kind of.
Yep.
And you see it with like those studies of the Romanian orphans and stuff like that.
mhm.
Like,
Were you gonna say something or?
Well, I was just wondering, like, is this like, if you don't get it, you don't get, like, is there any way in between, like, intervention
Can be
yeah,
restored.
absolutely. I mean, yeah,
There's
it's
no
like a deep
room.
dive. It's not like you don't get it forever, but it does complicate. It makes things more
compensate
complex,
for,
right? It complicates the whole parenting experience. It complicates.
Yeah.
It makes it more complex.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, with attachment, like I said, we're at the ground zero with this stuff. But when you look at attachment, if you're an anxious type, an avoidant type, dismissive, all of that stuff, you can work towards to having a secure attachment. But like I said, with the cycle of abuse and the trauma, we have to do the work. We have to do the work, and it sucks. It's not fair or fun. But that we can repair. It's just you gotta. There's no. Let me take a pill or let me do whatever exercise. Like, sorry.
They have to want to.
And they have to want to. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that. The will needs to be on board. 100%. 100%.
Maybe a dumb question.
No question is a dumb question.
when you're talking about this and the mother's gaze, like, I'm trying to picture, like, an only child.
Okay.
But probably not necessarily the case. So is there, like, a mother with, like, 5 children and they all grow up to be narcissistic because they didn't have this? Or is it depends on how each internalizes the trauma?
Or you're saying if
trauma.
mom was busy tending to her 5 kids,
Mhm.
and
Or
then
like how one happened to not get the love that he or she needed.
so what happens? Or
Or like, I don't know, I guess, do all the kids that she had, she's not able to provide the love or not being a good enough mother for all her children? Are they all gonna grow up to be
well,
narcissistic?
but remember that, say child 1 to child 5, just that mother's different.
Mm-hmm.
Birth order matters.
Birth order matters.
Firstborn is the one.
Yeah, but birth order matters. But I'm just talking about the woman.
Growth. Yeah.
Okay, as a parent.
No,
As
not
an
as a
individual.
parent. As a
woman.
woman. As a person. As a human being. Think about are you different from 20 years old to 30 years old?
The
Yeah.
son's getting the best of me right now. My two older
I
ones
always,
are like,
I always tell my
I agree.
clients when I'm trying to, get them to kind of
It's
open
like
up a
you're
little bit more.
learning.
I have 4 kids. My 24-year-old definitely had a different mother than my 12-year-old.
Yep.
I have more parenting skills and experience that my 12-year-old is more adjusted than maybe my 24-year-old, right?
Yeah.
Different ages, different stages of development.
It's different, and I'm just talking about the mother, right? Different age, different resources, different stressors, different COVID times,
Tools.
different relationships, just different, just different. That's what, beauty or not, that's diversity. That's we're all unique. We're all snowflakes, so it's hard to say that. And so someone's, well, how come my sister, how come my brother is, or how come I'm not, or how come it's apples to, not even oranges, like watermelon. I mean, I don't know. It's not even the same fruit, So, but that's not a question. Okay. Additionally, right, the mother's gaze for the true self. Another person's loving gaze allows the true self to perceive the existence of a safe, loving, and holding other. Such insight is the very foundation of empathy. So a loving mother's gaze is required for the child to feel that they are lovable, number one. The other purpose for a mother's loving gaze to that child is to believe that there is an existence of the other.
Makes sense.
say that again.
So the first reason for the loving mother's gaze is for the child to know that they're lovable. That I'm valued, I'm worthy, I'm lovable, I exist, blah, 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 blah. The other reason is because the child then knows that there's another that the love is coming from.
Separateness.
Huh?
So separateness?
Separateness, sure. Sure. The boundary, yeah. That there is another person that is loving to me, which then I know that there's another person, mom, the mother's gaze, that exists.
So they can reciprocate that.
So
Sure,
not only do I
sure,
have to love
sure.
myself, I need to feel loved by somebody else.
Reinforcing.
Yes. The other. Yes.
The internal and the external.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Which is the foundation for empathy. If you don't think there is another, empathy doesn't
Well,
exist.
you're not gonna care.
Empathy-
There's no one else.
There's nobody else. There is nobody else. Exactly. How can you have empathy if nothing exists outside of you? That's why narcissists don't have empathy. They have cognitive empathy. It's called cognitive empathy. So if I'm a narcissist and I see you crying, it signals, oh, they must be sad. Okay. So then it looks as if they mirror. They're very good. They're very, very good at mirroring. But is a felt embodiment experience of empathy or sadness or no.
Well, they just mirror because then it serves their purpose, right? Like
Their facade, their face.
Yeah, I mean, what purpose of, sure, I mean, whatever, they mirror to get supply, to get whatever they want, not because someone who has like real empathy, that's like real and genuine and succinct, like there's reparative moments, there's reparative actions And again, nobody's perfect, but there's change. There's change. But is there change often with people that are
Narcissists? Nope.
no, because it's a cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The good enough mother. The good enough mother is a clinical condition or construct coined by British pediatrician psychoanalyst Donald Winnicott back in 1953. Winnicott believes that the primary caregiver, usually the mother, plays a vital role in the emotional and psychological development of a child. A good enough mother is a parent who is attuned to the child's needs and provides adequate care and support. This concept recognizes that perfection in parenting is unattainable. And that minor failures or imperfections in caregiving can actually contribute to the child's growth, development, and independence. The term good enough suggests that a mother does not need to be flawless or meet every demand of the child, but should be good enough to provide a nurturing and supportive environment. So, what do you all think about this idea that minor failures or imperfections in caregiving can actually contribute to the child's growth, development, and independence?
It creates allowance.
Resilience.
Resilience, allowance.
Allowance for imperfection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. So those, I don't know, dance mom moms,
Mm-hmm.
Where the perfect bow and perfect this and or think of tiara mom or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have to be perfect. Or I remember back in the day we used to have talent shows. We used to have talent shows growing up, and we used to have first, second, third place. That's just what it was. But as time progressed, the talent shows were like participation show. Like
Everybody gets a trophy.
everybody gets a trophy because we don't want to hurt any child or create trauma. And I think we went a little too extreme, of protection. It's okay to fail. It's okay to make mistakes. That's how we learn. That's how we learn.
Yeah, they took like I don't know, it being a part of the process.
Yeah.
Away.
Yeah. We're supposed to fall down.
You have that book in your library, Good Inside.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Becky Kennedy. She's
Oh, yeah.
IFS.
Mm-hmm.
She was ABA, and she's like, no, because she saw it leading to false self. Yes, and so she moved into like kind of this. I think anyway, this new realm of IFS, and her thing for parenting is that we were never given any training whatsoever, but also we always have repair. That's her whole shtick.
Yeah. I think learning how to repair, just learning in itself means that you don't know it all, that you are omnipotent, like that you're not all knowing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Repair with parent first, always.
Yeah.
And in teaching the child.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
You made a choice. It's not who you are, but you made a choice, and repairing with yourself first, parent and child, before we repair with each other.
Okay. Okay. The dead mother. Ooh.
Who is she? Right?
We're going back to getting dark.
Balance.
So, dead mother, not literally, you guys. This is a so the dead mother is a clinical condition or construct, again, developed by psychoanalyst Andre Green in the 1980s. So the dead mother condition describes
Bless you.
an emotionally, mentally, psychologically dead mother. It is the direct net effect of a mother who lacks and is unable to provide devotion, selflessness, forgiveness, help to survive, soothing, nourishment, a secure base, idealization, and love unconditional, although disciplined, meaning boundaries. Unconditional love, yes, great, around this time. But, and with boundaries. The dead mother is absolved in their own internal world, either because of bereavement. Maybe they are stuck in grief and loss for whatever reason. Their relationships, their career, their family, I don't know. Anhedonia, just loss, just not having pleasure in life. Just joyless, just not having pleasure in life. I don't know. Depression, deadness, self-absorption, narcissism themselves, and psychosis. The three most common types of dead mothers are the borderline mother. Borderline mother is we'll get into it, but borderlines have a false self, but and they're desperately trying to get to their true core self, and they just don't have any organized way of attaining it. The narcissistic mother and the psychotic mother. Why do you think these types of mothers are dead? Dead mothers.
Because they lack the true self.
Their own trauma.
Trauma, lacking true self, yeah. They're stuck too. They're emotionally stunted too. They don't feel, again, back to the, they don't feel loved. They don't feel worthy. They don't have identity. They have mood instability. They're dysregulated. They're delusional. They're just self-absorbed. I mean, they're and not that they're mean, evil, self-absorbed. They're stuck in delusional, sometimes grandiose fantasy la la land or miserable hell la la land. But they're not here. They're not here in reality to tend, to attune, to provide devotion, selflessness, forgiveness, soothing, nourishment, secure base. That is. I don't say it's a lot, but you have to have some stability. You have to have some sense of self.
So what they don't have,
They can't
Sure.
provide.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys heard that one John Mayer song? Fathers, be good to your mothers. Oh
Be
no,
good to
Daugh-
your
it's called
sons.
Daughters.
Yeah.
it's called Daughters.
Oh, I heard that song.
Yeah, it's actually a cute, I think, song about intergenerational trauma with mothers and fathers. And I think that the chorus is, fathers, be good to your mothers, because mothers become daughters and daughters become mother. I don't know, whatever,
Something
but
like that.
something like that.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, something like that. Okay.
If you're curious.
Dead mothers raise children who, as adults, are unable to provide the above mentioned functions. The adult children of dead mothers have no altruism. Altruism is just doing kind for others. No concern for others. No empathy. No functional object relations. No generosity. Why do you think that is?
They don't know how.
Yeah. They don't feel lovable, right? And and the second piece is, right, they don't think that others exist. That's why there's no altruism, no concern for others, no empathy, no functional, that there's another object out there to relate to. So the all good mother transitioned and split to the all bad mother, which is object relations theory. That's another topic. Per Melanie Klein, the good breast to the bad breast. That's psychodynamic stuff. We won't. Anyways, this transition, this split is utterly destructive and is a main engine for pathological narcissism. So, pathological narcissism is a direct reaction to a dead mother. The devaluation or pedestalization, putting the child on a pedestal. Instrumentalization, we talked about that, was it yesterday or the day before, about how do domestic violence offender, or you can say narcissistic now, hopefully narcissistic abusers use children as spies, coaching them, manipulating the child to say your mom sucks or your dad's a deadbeat father, or go tell mom I'm sorry, go tell dad he's whatever. All of that is using a child as an instrument for them. That's abuse. That's child abuse. So it contaminates the child, creating identity disturbance. So the child doesn't develop and accepts that they can be, that they can be. So of course, if I don't think I can even be, who the hell am I? These are more for borderlines, but nobody's there. So that's why their identity shapeshifts, multiple personality disorders. There's no identity. What are you guys thinking so far about the good mother and bad mother, or good mother, dead mother?
Grim.
I know. I know. I know. I know.
There's a lot of a list of serial killers. I'm thinking. Like,
Sure. I mean, those are extreme.
Yeah,
Those are extreme. You know.
the ones on steroids.
Yeah. Yeah. So, narcissism, adult pathological narcissism. We're coming full circle now. Adult pathological narcissism, therefore, is a dead mother complex. Ooh. Adult pathological mouthful. Adult pathological narcissism is a reaction to arbitrariness, capriciousness, unpredictability, indeterminacy, a lack of secure base, a feeling of unsafety. So it's a reaction to all those things that are engendered by a mother who is intermittently reinforcing, hot and cold, loves and hates, is ambivalent. What does that sound? The intermittent. Actually, we haven't gone there yet, but
My ex-mother-in-law. So I'm just playing. I'm sorry.
intermittent love, attention, whatever, is the hallmark of trauma bonding. The hot and cold, love you, hate you.
Disorganized attachment.
Intermittent is like I always describe it like what is it, slot machine.
Don't know what you're gonna get.
Mm-hmm.
You keep going longer to try to keep getting it when it's going to come up.
Yeah.
That's trauma bonding in itself.
You're
And
trying to remain in that.
yep,
That.
because you know you'll hit at some point. You just don't know when. You just don't know when. So you keep going, and then boom. And that's what that and gambling. That's still that it's trauma bonding. But to what you're saying, there's actually terminal. It's called sunk cost fallacy. You guys heard of that? Sunk cost fallacy is pretty much what you described. It's say if I'm in Vegas gambling, okay? I'm at the tables and I'm winning, I'm losing. I am this intermittent, right? Hot and cold, win, lose, love, hate, but I'm winning. So I'm stuck. I want my next one. Sunk cost fallacy means, damn, I'm already X amount, thousands of dollars in. I'm thousands of dollars in. I can't leave now. I can't leave now. Look how much I put in.
Where else do you have to go? You put all your money there.
Yep. Where else can I go? I can't go now. I have to keep playing. I'm all in. I need a. That's the same type of dynamics are happening in abusive relationships. Look how much work I put in. Look, we have kids. We have retirement. We have a house. We have our families. I can't leave.
So that would be the victim in those cases.
Yes. Yeah.
I see that.
Yeah. It's a fallacy though, because you're already you're losing. You've already lost. So consequently, creating in her child, right, the intermittent reinforcing hot and cold creates in her child a hypervigilance required to survive. The child monitors a mother constantly and continuously, fearfully anticipating her transitions from one state to another. Right? There's that hypervigilance. There's that walking on eggshells.
Wow.
What kind of mood is mom going to be in today?
100%. 100%. So constantly scanning. What's the threat? How do I gotta act? Blah, 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 blah. This is already starting. Like they're a baby. When the child is unable to restore feelings of connections, the child internalizes the harshness of the mother, her unresponsiveness, her absence, her emptiness, resulting in an internal bad object through adulthood that presents as an adult pathological narcissist. Yeah, so the fancy term for that, it's called bad object internalization. That's what it's called. And the child does attempt to try to connect, but just unable. And so therefore the child then believes, well, it must be me. It must be me. And the child has to believe it must be them because they are dependent on mommy to survive. There is no other outcome. They can't say mommy's bad, because if they say mommy's bad, then they die. And almost quite literally. A child can't reject their mommy. Who's gonna provide Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Food, shelter, clothing.
Yeah, that's like a primal.
Yeah, you have to. So the child then adapts, moves, and conforms. You know, but all the result essentially is that I'm bad. I internalize that I'm bad. I'm unworthy. I'm unlovable. Which also, there's the other phenomena is called betrayal blindness. It's betrayal blindness theory. And so the child has to blind themselves to the betrayal from their mommy. That theory, betrayal blindness theory, what was coined by Jennifer Seyfried through her work with sexually abused children. Because think about that, childhood sexual abuse is the ultimate boundary violation. It's the ultimate objectification, instrumentalization. I think it's the worst form of abuse on the planet. And so this researcher, came up with this theory. How do children of childhood sexual abuse cope? How do you deal with, what happens? And the betrayal blindness theory is essentially like what it sounds like. They have to blind themselves to the betrayal. And so in her book, it's called Betrayal Trauma. In the very beginning of the book, I don't know if it's the foreword or the first chapter, but it's in the beginning of the book. And she shares a story of a client, a wife, not an older lady, but just a woman, married woman, whose husband has multiple indiscretions, affairs throughout their marriage. And she shares a story where her husband's out on a work trip and comes back early and says to her, I came back early and I'm going to a bar and hang out or whatever. So she shows up to the bar and whatever, it's fine. And then all of a sudden a woman comes, shows up to the bar, and when the woman comes, her husband and this woman greet each other and they kiss. And then the woman just leaves. And the husband goes back to the wife, and the wife's like, "What the hell? What? Who was that? Oh, nobody. Oh, I don't know. Nobody." Just blows it off. And obviously, she this client is, recollecting in session with this therapist, and so they're trying. Well, how you saw what happened? You addressed what happened. He obviously blew it off. Like, how did you blow it off? How could you just... And she describes it, and when Dr. Ramani talks about this phenomena too, is that it's almost like a whoosh. Betrayal blindness is like, it just like a Nike swoosh. It just whoosh. It just is a defense that blinds themselves to the betrayal, even if it's happening right in front of your face.
Too painful.
Yes. To keep it intact. It's too painful. It's too painful. And so that's where this is a great, if your own mother, father is abusing you or sexually abusing you, it's too painful for the true core authentic self to feel.
When the child just like goes somewhere else, how the brain just
disassociates. Yeah, that's kind of chronic trauma, but that's what happens like when the abuse is happening real time.
Okay.
Directly, like real time. This betrayal blindness is kind of like, how do I keep this relationship with my mom, with my dad, with my husband, with my wife, with my children, with my mom? How do I keep this intact? That's the betrayal blindness theory. Disassociating is kind of the real time what happens during the actual abuse.
Okay.
Were you?
I was just gonna say, then would this apply as a question about you see or hear in families where there's an abuser,
yeah,
right, and the family relationships have to stay intact.
Yep, 100%.
Okay.
100%. What she's talking about is say there's a tata, or a grandfather, and I'm just throwing some, who they call it an open secret, that everybody knows that this tata is the family child molester, okay? Yet it's a secret, so everybody still does Christmases, birthdays, and everyone. Hi, Tata. Hi, Grandpa. Go away. Don't let them around your kids. Make sure they're not together, alone. But everybody just still maintains that family dynamic.
Right.
Because if that were to be exposed, oh my goodness, imagine the crumbling. But yeah, that's a great example.
Would it be the same thing? So, I told you about that show Blackbird. The guy's a serial killer.
Mm-hmm.
So far, like the family, like they know it, but they don't like acknowledge it. Would that be kind of the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Betrayal blindness.
Okay.
Betrayal blindness. That's what it is.
Okay.
And they blind themselves because they have to keep that relationship intact. Whether it's child and mommy, whether it's the family. I don't want to divorce my husband, my wife, because we have money, we have kids, we have businesses, we have whatever it is. It's functional, it's purposeful. Whether it's healthy or not, whatever. That's it. That's on.
Kind of like the glue that holds it all together.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Is that when homeostasis? Like
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Homeostasis.
That's like the.
Yeah, the balance.
So adult pathological narcissism really is an attachment disorder coupled with a fantasy defense. We're going to be this afternoon talking about the shared fantasy. There's 7 phases in this shared fantasy that happens in narcissistic abusive relationships. In any case, adult pathological narcissism is attachment disorder coupled with a fantasy defense because to not be attached to mother is too painful. Realizing that your husband or wife is a liar and cheater. Too painful. Realizing your mother or father is, I don't want to say a piece of crap, but just not in what you imagine is just too painful. So it fosters a lifelong process of bereavement, grieving, mourning, prolonged grief disorder. This creates in the child a defense to pretend he is not he and that he is someone else. And the child creates a hard boundary that does not allow the world in because the reality of the child's world is just too painful, resulting in a false self. Adapted from Zen back in. What are your guys' thoughts? Comments? Questions? Are you just...
That's good. Quick question. What was the lady's name for the betrayal trauma?
Jennifer Seyfried. I think S-Y... Jennifer, common spelling. Syfried. I think. Did it come up?
Jennifer J. Fry?
Fry. There you go. Oh, that's kind of close. Ish. Was it Jennifer Fry?
Is this one?
Yeah, that's it. What? Fried. I said Seyfried. I put them together.
With that name, I think.
Jennifer Fried. Not Seyfried. Maybe I'm thinking of Sigmund Freud or something. I don't know.
It might be too zoomed out. But
Yeah.
I'm thinking of this, like, see, this is where I go, ooh, I don't even know if I say this out loud. Like, we all do this. We all mask. We all have
So, thank you. Thank you. So what?
Because I feel like
Yep.
I have to normalize a little bit of it.
No,
to
no.
make it go, it's not.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Ooh. Let's turn this one. So, remember yesterday when I was telling you the awful story about the body snatchers? Mm-hmm. That's a false self. I have a false self. Everybody does.
I think we all do.
You know, they now, what was that trending term that when you, not parts, shape, what is it? Oh my goodness. Where your fronts, like when you're in different, when you're in different scenes, it was like trending like a year or so ago.
Different what?
What? I'll tell you guys later. It's doesn't matter. But in any case, sure, therapists, we have false selves. You know, when you go to work, you have a false, like you can't be
versatile.
The deputies, pop stars, you know, rock stars, Padres, Padre baseball players. You know,
your alter ego.
Sure, your alter ego. Having a false self isn't pathological per se. It's same thing with emotions and feelings. Anger is not bad. Sadness isn't bad. It just is. It just is, you know. It's what we do with the false self. What are we hurting other people? Are we hurting ourselves? Are we in delusional la la land?
Well, and it feels like at the far end of the extreme spectrum, there's just so many more protectors. I'm talking IFS stuff, right? So many more protectants because it needed to happen.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, it was purposeful.
Right.
It was purposeful.
Right.
The fault, and that's why with a lot of my work with law enforcement, when I said you need to be false. You need to be grandiose and run into a freaking fire. I don't want to run into a house fire. No thanks. I don't want to die. Like, you know, or if there's a DV. Last night there was a, in San Diego PD, a 23-year-old ex-boyfriend. I don't know if it's boyfriend or ex-boyfriend, but 23-year-old boy, midnight, kicked the door down to his girlfriend's house and threatened to hurt her.
Ex-girlfriend.
So it was ex-girlfriend. And, I don't want to say the victim, but the boyfriend got stabbed and died. I don't know if it was a roommate that stabbed him or the actual ex-girlfriend that stabbed him, but, sorry, I don't want to go to those calls. I mean, that's scary. So, Navy SEALs, military, going into combat. That's scary. That is scary. I don't want my true core authentic self going into combat. No thanks. So you need to have that false self. You know, this is just on steroids. Yeah, when we're hurting people. You know, and it's self-serving.
I was just gonna say, is this kind of just like the thought that people are like chameleons to their situations?
Yes.
They kind of like just blend into whatever situation they're in to like.
Yeah, but there is a term for it, and I swear you had said it maybe back in the day. Coding. Thank you. Thank you. You guys heard of coding?
Coding.
Oh, that's probably why no one was able to help me. I'm like, what's the word? What's the word? Yeah. Coding is like a newer trending word, you know, like imposter syndrome. How people are, which I don't talk about that, but coding is like if I'm with my friends from work.
Yeah, code switching.
Code switching.
Oh,
there
yeah.
it is. There it is. There it is. Thank you. Code
Yes,
switching.
I said
Yeah, yeah. Code switching. Shape shifting, chameleons, all these, it's all the same thing about sure, different examples of false selves, I guess. You know,
Are they false selves, or they're just different versions of us depending on the environment?
yeah, I mean, like I said, it's semantics, right? Whether it's different versions, different self states, you know, but that in itself isn't
But it's healthy.
bad. Yeah, I
depending
mean,
on
it's
how you use it.
yeah, it's not bad. You know, I'm gonna maybe be different with my parents than I'm
It's a
in
balance.
with my friends from
Right.
high school. You know, versus being with, you know, the deputy district attorneys. You know, or hanging out.
Like if you're taking a phone call for work versus taking a phone call from your friend.
Yeah.
You'll be like, hi, this is Annabella. How may I help you? And then like.
It's like, what's What's
It's like, where did that come from? You know, like.
Oh, my
There's
kids
a boy
always
that did
call
that.
me
She'd
out
be like,
on that.
and just be like, thank you for
The
calling. How
professional
many-
voice.
Yeah.
It's like
So-
depending on the situation, you
That's a
have
good
to
example.
kind of like in order to blend in.
Yes.
I always feel you gotta be versatile.
Yeah,
You gotta
it's,
know
so
when
it's not bad.
adapt.
You know, yeah, it is a skill. It is
Yeah.
a skill. It's not bad. We're talking about false selves that
Hurt people.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
I think as clinicians
yourself.
or therapists, we need a full self. Otherwise
Absolutely.
We're gonna have slower
We're gonna burn.
burns
Yeah, we're gonna get burnt out.
stories and traumas from other people.
And-
Especially if they're fishing for reactions.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, you half the time you kind of have to be like unfazed when they, you know, drop a disturbing fact or something.
Yeah. I think, you know, I think it is a balance, and it just takes, I mean, it's just time served. You just have to serve the time to get that comfortability where you do need to be false, but you also need to be authentic. And it just takes time on when to be false, when to be true, when to be false, when to be true, when to be false, and sorry, but it is. You can't come into as a therapist and be true 24/7. You will get 100%. One day you'll be gassed out. You'll be gassed out. You'll be burnt out. Compassion fatigue, all that stuff.
So maybe that's the from pathology to health to pathology.
Yep.
The awareness.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Pathology, I mean, they don't consciously try to like create.
No, they are their false self. That's what I'm saying. Narcissists, they believe that they are, the true self is the false self. The awareness and the insight that we do have both, and it's purposeful, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, but if you're in your false self 24/7, I mean, people will know. Not people know, but like, you can't connect. There's nothing to connect with. So there's no authenticity in that connection with someone who is, say, a client that wants a true, healthy connection to, you know, that safe container. So you have to kind of navigate who's in that therapy room with you. So then you can have better awareness on who you want to show up as in that therapy room. Like I said, it just takes time.
You know that you explained it this way. I'm studying for my LCSW exam, and it's like all this stuff that just kind of like it helps connect it better. So,
Yay.
great way of explaining it.
Well, congrats on your hours.
Thank you. It's been a long time.
Any questions at all?
No.
What? Let's turn this signal.